Scrodello. I thought it'd be cool to go over stereo imaging of a track. I chose to use Alone by Marshmello. Not really sure why I chose this track. I guess it's because I'm familiar with it and it's catchy. Couple things. We're going to be using a couple of plugins. The first one is just Ableton's native plugin EQ8, which is awesome. Let's get rid of this. Hang on a second. Okay. What's nice about it is it lets you quickly go to a mid-side mode. And for you who don't know what mid-side is, sides are essentially everything that is extreme. Well, it doesn't have to be extreme because we can choose how far left and right we're getting, but it's just the stuff that's in stereo. And your mid or your middle is just everything that is literally in the middle, things that aren't panned. And what's interesting, I think a lot of people when they're mixing, they don't realize, you don't have to pan everything. Your mix can still sound very full. I think it's a misconception to think that your mix is going to sound better or wider if you have a lot of panning. I mean, it absolutely can, but you can also lose a lot of information and your mix can sound kind of sloppy and all over the place. So why don't we dive in here? This is the intro. So little bass intro. It's funny, it kind of reminds me of Blink 182 a little bit. Actually, side note too, this song, when I first heard it, I was instantly reminded of a video game I used to play on my cell phone called Geometry Dash. For all of you people who have played Geometry Dash on level 1, there's a really catchy song. And I remember playing it, and my stepdaughter Nicole said to me, Peter, why can't you make music that sounds like this? And when I heard this song about a year later, Alone, I was like, wait a second, is that the same artist? And I googled it because I was curious, and all I found was a bunch of people who had taken the song Alone and put it over screenshots of the video game. I haven't actually been able to confirm if it is in fact Marshmello that did the track for the video game, but in any respect, it's kind of funny. Maybe you know and you could send me an email, scrodello@gmail.com. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I'm going to get rid of my stuff that's panned super wide, so all the stuff that's on the side. So we're just selecting a hard stop here, and we're going to drag it all the way over. So not a whole lot of information has been lost. It's bass. Bass is typically in the center. It's typically in mono. You can pan bass. The problem is you can really throw the balance off of your mix. Not to mention the fact that when people are listening to music now, they're usually listening to it through their cell phones. And I don't know about your cell phone, but mine has one speaker. So if I start to pan things super wide, it's not really going to be noticeable that much. Not to mention the fact it might actually cause some phase and different cancellation of frequencies. So it's always best to make sure that when you are about to release a track that you listen to it in mono. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Actually, fuck it, I'll show you how to do it right now. If you want to listen to something in mono, I've kind of already showed you, right? You just get rid of everything that's in the side here, on the side, which I gotta go back to, here we go, it's gone. So this is in mono, everything. But there's kind of a problem, right? Because I've actually gotten rid of things that were panned. So there's actually another way that you can do this, and I'll show you right now. If I go to my master, and I go, again, I'm in audio effects. If I go to utility, I can actually drop in just this mono feature. And what this does is it kind of pushes the track onto itself and turns it mono. And this is a good test to see if your mix holds up in mono, and an indicator of how it might sound through a cell phone. As you can tell, it still sounds good. I mean, the only difference is it doesn't sound as wide, but the mix still holds up, and that's a good sign that you have a good mix. Anyway, getting back to the whole mid-side sort of conversation. So I'm going to get rid of everything that is in the middle now, so you can hear the difference. Wow. So my ears do this weird thing when I hear things that are in stereo. It sounds like the mix is now coming from like the side, like the wall over here, or way over there, and it sounds crazy. It's like it kind of plays with your ears, and it sounds cool. But again, there's nothing in the middle part anymore. We've completely gotten rid of it. But when you put them together, now you've got a mix that sounds wide. Another thing, everything that's to the side is typically your higher frequencies, but it creates kind of an air to your music, and you can hear it. You really hear the highs, you really hear the reverb. And this is without it. It sounds more dry. So that's a cool trick. Let's listen to the drop real quick. Yeah, all those white noise effects that you hear, that's all stereo. It gives the track movement. It makes it sound more alive without clogging your mix in the middle. So again, selectively choose what you want panned. If everything's panned, your mix is going to sound small. If everything is in the middle, it might not sound as wide, but at least you'll have a song that is transparent to most people. And when you play it out at clubs, you know it's going to be more consistent, because people aren't listening for how wide your mix is when you go to a club. They just want to hear music, and they want to hear what they want to hear, and they want to have fun. If your mix is compromised because you panned everything, it's going to sound thin, it's going to sound brittle, people aren't going to enjoy it as much. So try to be more conscious about your panning. By the way, I'm not trying to be preachy here. I mean, this is a learning experience for everyone. It certainly is for me. Each track I listen to, when I do this, I learn something, different. And try to do that. If you have a song that you particularly like, bring it into your DAW and try this out. I think you're going to find a lot of useful tricks and tips of these artists, that they're, how they might be panning things, their delays, their reverbs, everything that's in the stereo image. Anyway, so that's one trick. The last thing I'll show you really quickly is if I go under my plugins, FabFilter's limiter is an excellent way to monitor your music as you're mixing in real time, particularly the dynamics. I can see this is totally brick-walled, which is a characteristic of most pop music now. Nothing wrong with it. It's what gives it its commercial sound. One thing that you can do though, when you're using it, you can monitor, maybe your kick drum is a little bit too loud compared to the rest of the music, and you can visually see that. So I might turn the kick drum down a little bit, which gives your mix a little bit more breathing room, and then you can go ahead and adjust the gain and bring the mix up even more to get that commercial sound. I'm not saying that you need to brick wall everything, but again, it's kind of it's become sort of an industry standard. So anyway, I hope this video was somewhat useful. I plan to do some more, but I actually have to pass my boards for pharmacy school in like another 2.5 weeks. So I'm gonna peace out now, but it was wonderful to get to chat with you guys.